On June 15, 2025, the world was shocked by a missile strike that destroyed one of Israel's most secretive research centers, the Weizmann Institute in Rehovot. This laboratory, located in the heart of Israel, was known as a hub for the development of the nuclear program, which had remained hidden from the international community until now. The attack, carried out by Iranian forces, resulted in the complete destruction of the facility where critical nuclear research was conducted. Not only were the buildings demolished, but research data accumulated over 2 decades was also lost. The damage is estimated at a colossal sum of 9 trillion rupees. The government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had long attempted to conceal the existence of this laboratory. Israel, known for its secretive nuclear policy, used these facilities to develop nuclear technologies without international oversight. Despite numerous reports of illegal nuclear research in Israel, major powers like the United States turned a blind eye. The strong diplomatic ties between the two countries seemed to rule out the possibility of stricter control over these activities. For many nations, information about this laboratory was a taboo subject. However, Iranian intelligence sources, which managed to obtain secret data from Israel, were key to planning this attack. With highly detailed information, Iran pinpointed the location and activities of the laboratory. For years, Iran had suspected Israel of attempting to develop nuclear weapons and decided to take radical measures to halt this program. On the morning of June 15th, the sky over Rehovot was filled with the sound of sirens signaling an air raid. Israeli residents and workers near the laboratory panicked, unaware that the incoming missiles were aimed at destroying nuclear research. Prime Minister Netanyahu was deeply shaken upon learning of the laboratory's destruction. Disappointment was evident on his face as he announced that Israel must come to terms with the loss of one of its most critical facilities. One of the greatest losses was the destruction of vital research data on nuclear technologies and weapons, collected over 2 decades, now irrecoverable. This loss is not only financial, but also strategic. Countries previously unaware of the details of Israel's nuclear research began questioning the country's policies and demanding transparency in its nuclear activities. The international community now views Israel with suspicion. Some major powers condemned Israel's actions for concealing its nuclear program. Allies who previously supported Israel began shifting their positions after this incident. The attack also showcased the prowess of Iran's intelligence services, which, through meticulous monitoring and precise data collection, managed to identify and destroy a key facility in Israel's nuclear program. Actions that Israel had long kept hidden could no longer be concealed, and demands for transparency grew. Many parties urged Israel to disclose what was happening behind the closed doors of the laboratory. Netanyahu's government faces intense pressure both domestically and internationally. Many question whether Israel hid this information for strategic interests, and whether it impacts global security. Some political analysts suggest that the United States, as Israel's main ally, allowed this information to remain hidden. The U.S. made no significant efforts to control these activities, which have now culminated in the destruction of the laboratory. This attack has further deteriorated relations between Israel and Iran. The decades-long tension has intensified, and both nations risk entering a new phase of confrontation. Netanyahu is attempting to divert the international community's attention from the incident through various means, but international protests against Israel's secretive actions continue to grow. The destruction of the laboratory has also severely impacted Israel's national security. Some are questioning the continuation of its nuclear program, which has operated without international oversight or transparency. Netanyahu now faces a far greater challenge in confronting countries disillusioned and distrustful of Israel's policies. Questions have arisen about the objectives of Israel's nuclear research. With the destruction of the laboratory, the world is now questioning not only the continuation of Israel's nuclear program, but also the security and stability of the entire Middle East. This strike underscored the dangers of regional tensions, and the world must prepare for their consequences. European countries that previously supported Israel's nuclear policy are changing their stance. Some European Union member states issued statements condemning Israel's opaque actions, increasing international pressure on Netanyahu to allow full access to its secretive nuclear program. Tensions in the Middle East continue to rise. The attack on Israel's nuclear laboratory affected not only the country, but also neighboring states, which perceive the threat of potential nuclear weapons proliferation. Iran, long in conflict with Israel, views this attack as advantageous and is gaining support from countries opposing Israel's nuclear policy. The incident has also sparked debate in the UN Security Council about the importance of Israel granting access to its nuclear facilities. Countries that signed the nuclear agreement with Iran are also urging Israel to comply with international nuclear control standards. Israel's diplomacy, which relied on strong ties with major powers, is now at risk. The increasingly harsh reaction from the international community puts Israel in an even more difficult diplomatic position. Countries that were once Israel's strategic partners now doubt its commitment to regional peace. Following the attack, Iran appears to have strengthened its position, not only relying on missile strikes, but also intensifying its military diplomacy in the region. Iran is increasingly using this attack to bolster its international influence, claiming it is merely taking measures to ensure regional security. For Israel, recovering the lost data and research will be a monumental challenge. Although some experts are attempting to salvage damaged data, the physical destruction of the laboratory makes recovering much of the critical information nearly impossible. These losses will impact not only nuclear research but also Israel's reputation in the scientific and technological fields. This incident has highlighted the importance of international oversight of nuclear programs. Some major powers are now proposing that Israel join the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT, and submit to international oversight to ensure nuclear technologies are not misused. Netanyahu's government is grappling with a crisis of trust. The decision to conceal Israel's nuclear weapons development without international oversight has left many feeling betrayed. Domestic protests are intensifying, and Israeli society is now questioning the government's secretive nuclear research policies. Despite Israel's significant losses, there is a possibility that the country may take action against Iran. Some Israeli officials have stated they will not remain passive after this attack and are considering further military steps in response to the strike on their nuclear facilities. The world is increasingly aware of the importance of transparency in nuclear technology development. This case has opened a new debate about how countries with nuclear programs must be accountable to the international community. With the destruction of the laboratory, many hope that nations will be more open about nuclear weapons development to maintain global peace and stability.